York, it was 70. It was like 78 degrees when I left work last night. Now it's not that. You guys are getting tornadoes in New York, yeah?
I haven't seen that. It's not even like raining. What are you talking about?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, I was like, what?
Aren't you guys getting
Real?
tornadoes? I mean, you're getting earthquakes. You're not getting tornadoes there in
Yeah,
New York?
no.
Right down the street going through Midtown?
That would be insane.
I like all the articles that are written on, climate change and things like that. And they're like, okay, so it's not going to be like the movies. Everybody's waiting for, a wave the size of the Empire State Building to splash through, roll through Manhattan or whatever. Like, it's not going to be like that. It's still pretty intense, but we're not going to see skyscraper-sized tornadoes. Those movies are fun. They were fun before they got a little closer to reality. But those movies, people love disaster movies. When I was a kid, there was a whole rash, and I don't know why, but there was a whole rash when I was a kid of disaster movies. It was a whole genre. So it was the Poseidon Adventure, where people were trying to get off of a sunken ship that had turned upside down. They're trying to shove Shelley Winters through a porthole, whoever the big stars of the day were. There was the Towering Inferno. There was a giant high-rise that was on fire. There was a guy named Irwin Allen who was responsible for producing these kinds of films. He was kind of the guy that was making disaster television and film. And so when I was a kid, he was making Poseidon Adventure and the Towering Inferno, and he was the guy that created Lost in Space and all these TV shows that predated me. But the modern version of those are just whatever Gerard Butler's in these days. I think he's become
Those
kind of the main guy for the disaster movies. There was one a couple of years ago. God, where were we? We were traveling somewhere, and I was waiting for Gwen to finish getting ready, and so I'm sitting on the edge of the bed in our hotel room, and I'm clicking around, and there was a movie on called Greenland with Gerard Butler, and Morena Baccarin was the female lead. She's the girlfriend in Deadpool. She's super foxy. She's on Homeland, and so this Greenland film is Gerard Butler and her trying to get their kids away from meteors or something. A planet-killing comet, right, is racing toward the Earth, right? So there's nothing anybody can do. It used to be the disaster film, the genre was, how can we avoid this catastrophe? Now they've had to ratchet it up because, obviously, we're not avoiding the catastrophe around the planet, but they've ratcheted the films up so that now you can't avoid it. It's coming. What are you going to do, right? There was Deep Impact back in the day.
Yep, that was a good one.
But
Deep Impact and
Armageddon.
Yeah, two competing meteor films, comet films, or whatever.
Dante's Peak.
Dante's Peak.
And Volcano.
Yeah.
Volcano's hilarious. Volcano's a good, bad movie.
Dante's Peak is Pierce Brosnan,
That one's just a fun, adventure movie.
Yeah.
It's
Volcano is Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, Tommy Lee Jones in L.A., and there's a scene a guy jumps into the lava, and it's so dramatic, but it's overly funny because they make it too dramatic, and it's very funny. But
these modern disaster films. So anyway, I'm sitting on the edge of the bed in this hotel room, and Greenland is on, and I'm transfixed. I can't stop watching this movie, because I had just written it off as one of these dumb kind of brainless, and maybe it is. I don't know. I mean, it made a little bit of money. They're making a sequel to it. They're making Greenland Migration.
Iceland. Oh.
Greener Land.
Greener Land. Again, I don't understand if the plot is a planet-destroying comet is racing toward Earth. Where are you going to go? They invariably will try to find some kind of bunker or something like that. The kid in the movie, they always have to have levels of threat. It's not enough to have a planet-destroying comet. I mean, that's the ball game right there, normally, under regular circumstances. Hey, there's a comet coming. Nobody's going to live. But that's not even enough for the movie, right? The kid always has to have, he needs insulin. How my kid's running out of insulin. Well, tell him not to worry, because have you heard about that planet-destroying comet that's coming here? Yeah, that's coming. And so insulin is going to be the least of his worries. But his mom and dad trying to find him the insulin. And so, and the guy in the movie he's always looped in somehow, right? He's a regular guy. He's in the hardware store, but it turns out this guy used to be connected. So he's still getting text messages from shadowy organizations that clue him in. Hey, don't tell anybody other than your family, but get out of town. Why? Well, there's a comet that's going to hit the planet. Well, then why the hell am I getting out of town?
What town am I supposed to go to?
Yeah. Why shouldn't I? Any town I go to is, as I check my map, on the planet. And so where am I going to go? I don't know. You figure it out. There was a really mopey movie some years ago called Melancholia. This is a Lars von Trier movie with Kirsten Dunst. If you want mopey, boy, you get Kirsten Dunst. You just train the camera on her and it loves her. But the conceit of that movie was that it's going to collide with another planet or it's going to collide with the moon or I don't know what it is. Two planets are going to collide, something like that. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. So it's this long, silent, very little dialogue, meandering thing about, what are we going to do? Well, there's nothing we can do. Very more existential dread than things exploding. But again, back to my original point. Listen, one of these days, Mary, you might be sitting there in Midtown in the studios of iHeartRadio New York and look out. You have a window? You probably don't have a window.
I don't have a window.
No, you're probably on an inside cabin there, aren't you?
When you talk about like wanting to be broadcasting from a coffin, I'm like, I feel like this tiny little studio that they have me in is depressing.
To some people it is. Yeah, it never was to me.
Around, everything's gray. I'm like,
I mean, the first broadcast studio I ever broadcast from, it was literally a closet. It had like acoustic foam on the walls. It had a production board on it, microphone, still playing music off carts. So we had the cart decks there.
Yeah.
And it was tiny, and I loved it.
See, I think this room might be 8 feet across, 8 by 8 maybe.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, and by the, there's usually a couple people here when I get here. But then by the time the show goes on, everybody's gone. Nobody's hanging out. Like, there's no one to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think about you sometimes where I'm like, I cannot believe that this is Alan's preference.
Oh, I love it.
It was like, I miss being in the room with you guys and like having somebody around.
Well, I mean, we get used to that too. I mean, but again, the first half of my career, I was a solo show. So it's like I was used to that, right? Yeah. Once you get into having other people around, that kind of takes on a different thing. But I love being in the closet, boy. It's great.
Wild.
Because you're by yourself, but you're talking to tens of thousands of people, right?
Sure.
And so it doesn't matter what's going on in the room. Huh?
They're not talking back.
That's the best
There's not
part.
A sense of not being alone.
Who's not alone?
Like being alone in this room.
Right.
Right? Just because you're talking, there's no sense of not being alone. I feel like it would drive me literally mad.
Well, it sounds like it would, but I like that.
If it's
I don't need people
me,
talking back.
No way. Because then you're by yourself. You're just talking.
Yeah.
You're like, does anybody care? Is there any? At least with each other, we have like you can.
Yeah, but when it was just me, if I'm doing my thing and people might call, people might whatever, that's fine.
Yeah.
Still doing my thing.
That's crazy.
Oh,
good for you though.
Great.
But no, I do not have a window to see when the tornado hits.
All right. Well, then you're gonna,
I'll need you to tell me.
I'll keep my eye on the
check your weather
yeah,
app.
I'll check the weather app for Midtown Manhattan. Hey, right now it says 0% chance of tornadoes, so I think you're in good shape. So I will try. Listen, I got a lot of other things on my mind here, but I will try my best, my level best, to be your window to the world.
Thank you.
How do you like that?
I appreciate that.
Oh my God! Tornado! Tornado!
That kid is down the hall from you, FYI. So. All right, I got to take a break here. Hey, I'm going to come back, and I'm going to give you your first clue because I sent someone out, and he's got tickets. Well, I sent Rob out, and he's got tickets for tonight's Cavs game. Game 5, playoff game, Cavs Magic back at the Romo Fijo. Got a handful of tickets I want to give to you. You will have to go find them. So I will give away one pair on the air here later on, but this first handful of tickets for tonight, if you cannot go or you're not sure, I want people who know they can go, right? I don't want to waste a single ticket. So I'll come back. I'll give you that first clue that will hopefully point you to Rob and get yourself those playoff tickets for tonight.